Hey everyone, my name is Zoe Straw. I am a computer programmer and a Unity developer, and today I want to talk about attaching logic to buttons via code in a way that should give you a lot more options and versatility for how you can use them. If we switch to my screen here, you can see I have a little project set up. There's a UI canvas that has a script attached to it called Button Logic Tutorial, and then basically we have within that references to a button, a text box, a scroll view, and then there's also a prefab that's in my assets here, and that's going to represent what we're going to be populating with the scroll view. Now, if you're already kind of familiar with Unity, you probably already know that you can have a method that you can pass things to. So in this example, we're going to use print item, and that takes an argument that's a word. And then if we go into Unity and we select the button, we don't have anything happening on click, but we can add to that, and then we can add a reference to the canvas, and then we can select on the button logic tutorial that print item method. That's going to take an argument for a string, so we can say like banana, and then what's going to happen when we play that, one second, is that when we hit that, it's going to say banana. Now that's great, that's really easy, but there's a lot of instances where we can't do this. So what we're going to be talking about first is how you can actually attach logic to buttons with script. So if I go into my start method here, and we already have a reference to the button called myButton, so we can say myButton.onClick.AddListener. And the first listener that we're going to add is print item no argument, which is exactly what it sounds like. So if we say print item no argument, there we go. So print item no argument has the text no argument needed, and that just works. We don't have to put in the caption at the end of the method call. That's a callback. And then once that compiles, again, sorry, Unity likes to compile every time, so I wanted to keep the project simple. But then if we play this, we have no argument needed. Oh, I should also go and remove the callback from here because we're not going to need that anymore. So that's great. But then what happens if we want to have any other kind of method? This works because print item no argument has a void return type and no arguments. If we try to say print item in here, like we try to print that in, if we try to say print item as a callback, we're going to get an error. It doesn't work. So then maybe, oh, well, what if I just add the right argument type? We say banana. It still doesn't work because the signature of this method is different than what it's expecting, which is it wants a void return type and no arguments, and anything other than that it's not going to accept. So what can we do? Well, here's the trick. You use a lambda expression. You use a lambda expression, and now you can say print item, and you can pass it the argument that you want. We'll say banana again. There we go. So this has essentially bypassed the specific method signature that the AddListener method wants. And then if we let that compile, and again, sorry, it's going to take a second. We see here that now when we press the button, it's working. And that's great. And the thing is with that is that we can actually do this with any kind of method signature. It doesn't just have to be a string. I know that that might be obvious, but you know, maybe you're a beginner and you don't realize how like versatile this is. This lambda completely bypasses like the specifics of what kind of argument it wants. So like if we say print item multiple arguments, and then that's going to ask for a string. So we're going to say banana, and then it also wants a float. So like 5.7f. And then again, we compile that. By the way, if all you wanted to know was just how do you kind of bypass that, then you're good to go. You can stop watching this tutorial. That's all of the information that you really needed. And then, you know, there we go, banana 5.7. So why is this useful? Like, why is this a good thing? There's also this one with a Boolean return type. I don't need to kind of keep going over it. The method you use here can also have a return type, and it can just kind of like disappear if you're not using it at all. So like, why is this good? Because oftentimes in Unity, you might have, say, a prefab, and in this prefab, you're not going to have access to the scripts or the objects in the editor because you're instantiating them at runtime, you know? Like, this is an element that's going to be instantiated without the same like scene or hierarchy when you're editing it having access to what it needs. So what I can do here, and this is one of the things that I learned at my last job, is like if we get rid of this, and then we have this populate scroll view method here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say game object new object. equals instantiate, and we're going to have the button prefab be instantiated, and its parent is going to be the scroll view content. So we can instantiate all of those, and then you'll see when this compiles, again, sorry, compilation time. When this compiles, we're going to have that list of strings each get a button. And then, oh my god, we have a bunch of buttons here. But those buttons aren't actually doing anything. And they're also not saying anything. So now what we can do is we can go button equals new object dot get component. And we're going to get a UI button from that. And then, oh, new button, blah, blah, blah. So then new button dot on click dot add listener, we can now say print item, and we can have it be the word in the for loop that represents that word in the string. Oh, right, sorry. I'm not following my own rule. And there we go. So if you take anything away from this at all, it's take this add listener method, open and close brackets, and then use a lambda, so then you can cast whatever method you want into it regardless of the signature. And then you see here, when we let that compile one more time, if we let that compile one more time, we have all of these different things, and they're all representing all of the different things that can go onto that. And so essentially, this will work for a lot of different Unity controls. It's not just the buttons. Like, this logic will allow you to, let's say you're getting a list of items from a server or from somewhere in memory. Here, let's say you're getting like a list of items from a server and somewhere in memory, and it's something that you're not going to have like existing until it's instantiated at runtime. Then you can attach all of your button logic to these things. You can have these prefabs. Like in my previous job, we were getting all of these different items from a server, and then we had to populate the UI with lists of different like store items and inventory items and stuff. And by doing this, I just had one script that was basically like producing the prefab, attaching all of the logic to it, setting up the component as it needed to, like for each individual instance, and then it was good to go. And like, it's really, really useful because like you're no longer limited to just having like, by code you have a listener that's only a, void return, no argument method. Now it can be any method that you want. And it doesn't even have to be public. Like if these are if these were private methods, you could still attach them within the script like this, and they'd still work. I use it all the time. So yeah, that's the Unity Quickie, and I hope that was really useful. I hope that was quick. I want it to be quick and succinct. And yeah, leave a comment if you liked this, if you thought it was helpful, and have yourselves a great day. I really hope that was useful for you, and sorry for rambling a little bit. Peace.